a new concept called interface. So interface has only abstract methods. So interface is nothing but which has only abstract methods. We already learned abstract methods are nothing but it has only definition part which doesn't have any implementation. So such type of methods we call it as abstract methods. So in interface, we will declare only abstract methods. And in this interface consists of only public visibility. We don't have an option to private or protected. So by default, it will be whatever the methods we create that will be considered as public visibility. So I will explain about this interface and afterwards we'll discuss the difference between abstract class and interface. So, 1 second. So let's go to SE24. So first we'll see global interface. Mm, so this is a this is SAP class. If you see standard object, it is started with C, not started with Z or Y. Right? If I click on display, so we have some standard objects. We already know SAP has created few standard objects. So similar way we have classes, methods. So this is the class, and in this class there are various methods are there. If I go to interface tab, see there is an interface. Suppose if I double click on it, now look at the screen. The screen name has changed, interface. So how they have created, like here interface and interface name is there. Under the interface, in the interface we have a tab called methods, and here they have declared the methods. Suppose if I double click on any method, see it is not having any implementation. Suppose if it is a normal class, let's go to also 24 and let's see any class which we create. So this is the method. So this is a subclass and this is a method. Suppose if I double click on this method, so it is displaying the logic, meaning it is displaying the implementation part. If I go to this interface, if I double click on the method, see, there is no implementation. As I mentioned, interface has only methods. Those are abstract methods. So there is no implementation part. If you see, this is a standard interface which is created by SAP. And there is no implementation. Only method, method name, level, description, and if it is having any parameters, those are there. That's it. There is no implementation part. If I double click on it, there is no implementation part. So how they will use this interface? If I come back, this name, interface name will be changed into class. So let's see. I'll click on back now. Now see, class or interface is there. Before that, let me go again. So in this interface, you look at the three methods. First, get, next, top, seek. Okay, let's remember one. Get, next, top is there, right? Suppose I'll go back. If I go back, I will be navigating into class. And if I go to methods, see, get, next, top. So how they got this method from this interface. If I go to interface tab, what is interface name? If cast top. And if I go to methods, see, same name. This is interface name and this is a method which is existed inside of this interface. Suppose if I double click on it, now we can see there is an implementation. So interface methods where you can implement it in a subclass. Sorry, not a subclass, in classes. Okay. So how we will implement the interface methods in classes. Here we don't use the concept of inheritance. So directly we will enter the interface name and we can access those methods. So similarly, we will create. So these all created by SAP. Now we will create custom interface. So to create interface, we will go to same screen SE24 for global interface. And you can use here by see interface. And here, so in this pop-up, earlier we have chosen the option called class. So right now we have to create interface. So click on this button and give the description, interface, save it, and now we are inside of interface. So this screen is similar to the global class screen. So there would be class or interface will be there. If I go back, see here, what is the name? Class or interface. If I come to this interface, owned interface, interface name is there. And in this interface, you can create methods or you can create attributes. And interface, you can also insert another interface also. If you have any events, you can declare the events. If you have any structures, you can declare the structure. So this last one we'll discuss later. Okay. So now, first what we'll do, we will create methods. So that too abstract methods. As we know, interface consists of only abstract methods. So first we have to do the definition part. So definition part in the sense, we have to give the method name, level, if it is having any parameters that we can declare it. So same scenario. In previous class, we have used sales order item details. So same way here I'll use a scenario. User will enter the single sales document number, and based on that, user want to see sales document number, item number, material from item table. Okay, so that implementation I should not do here because interface consists of only abstract methods. So I need to do only declaration because uh, there is a scenario where um, in future, suppose imagine that in future, suppose if I want to fetch the same data again, so I can reuse this interface instead of declaring everything from the scratch. I can reuse this interface. So that is the idea of interface. So here we don't have any implementation part, right? We will declare only method name. So based on the requirement, we can write any logic. We can do different implementation in the classes. So earlier we have seen inheritance concept. Suppose if it is inheritance concept, what will happen? In the parent class, whatever the logic is there, that logic we will inherit into subclass. And if you want to change it, we can change it. And if you want to extend some functionality, we can do. But if we don't require those parent class functionality, still we can access in our subclass. So what will happen? It will take some memory space, right? So whenever we write the logic, it will hold in the data medium, like internal table, work areas, or variables. Suppose if I go to, let me show you. Okay, let me open local inheritance. So you can see this local inheritance. So whatever the parent class methods are there, those we will access in the subclass. And if we want to change, we can change it. But it will occupy some memory space. So here right now I have only one method. But imagine that there are 10 methods are there, but you want to use only two methods. So whenever you inherit, those 8 methods also will hold some memory space in the database. So that is not required. So that is the reason after inheritance, we use the concept of abstract class. So in abstract class, we did partial implementation, meaning, um, let me open it first. So this is abstract class. In the abstract class, what we did, partial implementation is nothing but abstract class can contain normal methods or abstract methods. So if it is abstract method, it doesn't have any implementation, right? Only empty. This is like empty body. There is no implementation part. So with this one, we can reduce the memory space, right? But this is also partial one. So this abstract class can contain non-abstract methods and abstract methods. So whenever I want to use abstract class, suppose there is a non-abstract method, then that is also holding the memory space in the database. So again, that is not necessary. So that is the reason now we are using the concept of interface. Interface, there is no implementation. Only empty. It's like a template. There is only a template. Depends on the requirement, we can write the functionality so that it doesn't hold any extra memory space in the database. So that is the idea of interface. So inheritance means fully we will inherit the properties from the superclass. Abstract class is nothing but partially we can inherit, because here also we are using inheriting concept of it, right? So that is the reason now we are using interface. In interface, it is a template. It doesn't have any implementation part. So it don't hold any extra memory space in the database. You've got some idea of this interface. Let me close this one. And so now we'll create this interface. So I will give the method name and import and export parameters. So depends on the requirement, we can implement the logic in the class. That's it. We no need of inherit anything. So this is like an empty one. Depends on the requirement, you can write the logic. Suppose I have a method like get data and level is instance method. And if you see earlier, after level, here we do have one column to select visibility. Suppose if I go to this, you can see this is a class, same method name I have given, level I have chosen, after which column is there visibility. But if I go to interface, there is no visibility column, because by default, whatever the methods we create, those will be created under the public visibility only, because we need to access outside of the class. It depends on the requirement. So that is the reason this will be created under public session. And description you can give method type, no need to specify anything. And here let's fetch item data. Sales and item data. So this is a method. So I went to AC24 transaction code. I gave the interface name, method name, the level, description. And this method is having two parameters. Suppose it's like importing, then here VPN and VK. So this is the input parameter because user want to enter sales document number. So I'm giving it as an input parameter as it is inputting. And then here I'm not creating any structure. So directly I will create table type, global table type we already have for VBAP table, that is VBAPT. If you see here short description, table type for structure VBAP. So I created a table type, like I have used a table type, which is created globally. SAP has created this one. If you double click on it, it will navigate to the global table type. See, VBAP is a table type. What is the structure? VBAP, meaning all the fields from the VBAP table. Okay. So if I create anything, if I create any parameter to table type, that is nothing but it is act as an internal table. Always remember, if you are creating any parameter type as table type, that is meaning of internal table. Suppose if you are creating any structure here, then it acts as a work area. Okay. Now we have method name, import export parameters are there. So let's say it, check, activate it. Suppose if I try to write the logic C, even though I double click on it, it is not navigating into the implementation screen. And if you see, there is no button of source code. So this is the interface screen. And if you see, only two buttons are the parameters, exceptions. Now, let me show you the class screen. See, this is the class screen. Here, after parameter and exception, there is a button called source code. If I click on this button, suppose if I click on that button, it will be navigate into the implementation of the screen. But this is missing in the interface because interface is nothing but which has only abstract methods. So there won't be any implementation. If you see there is no source code button, even if you double click on it, it won't be navigating to the implementation part. So in this screen, just you can give the method definition of it. You cannot implement anything. So in the interface screen, you can give only method definition. And once it is done, you can activate it and copy this interface name. Now I'll create one class. Suppose class so here I'm going to create a class right now because I have to implement those methods. So how we will implement the methods inside of the class. We are not using any concept of inheritance or abstract methods. Sorry, inheriting from the abstract class. Directly, we will enter the interface name inside of the class. Okay. So first I created interface using SE24 transaction code. There I have given the method name and the required parameters. Once it is done, you should activate it. Then you need to create a class to implement those abstract methods. So again, go to EC24 transaction code, give the class name, choose the radio button of class. And here class, class, and save it. Now we are inside of the class. Now let me close this one. So whatever we created just now interface, let me open it on the screen. So this is the interface. So already imagine that this interface is already existed in our system. So I have a requirement where user want to see based on the sales single input of sales document number. User want to see sales document number, item number, material description from item table. So if you see this interface and this method has the same functionality, like it can be matched to my requirement because if you see get data, if I go to parameters, input parameter is colon and export parameter is an internal table. So this I can be use it instead of writing in the class. Earlier what we did, suppose if you want to implement anything in the class, you need to write again method name, level, visibility, description. You need to give the parameters. But instead of giving any everything from the scratch, we can use interface. If it is exactly your requirement, then you can make use of this interface instead of creating everything from the scratch, like method name, method definition. Instead of giving everything, we can reuse this one. So that is an idea of interface. Now I'll go to class. So I'll go to class. Instead of writing again get data, level, parameter name, what I'll do, I'll go to interface tab. I will give the interface name. So this is the interface which has the method of these two parameters. So I can reuse this interface. So for that, in my class, I gave under the interfaces tab, I gave interface name. Then press enter. And if I go to methods tab, see, when I gave the interface name, by default, method has appeared here. So this method where I have defined it in my interface. If I go to my interface, see, this is interface. I declared this method in this interface. So look at the interface name, GSM2 interface, and method name is getData. If I go to my class, how the method name has written, interface name, tilde operator, method name. Meaning this method has defined in this interface. So by default, whenever we are entering the interface name, automatically whatever the methods, parameters are there, those will be mm, those we can access in our class. So this is our class, and you can see these two parameters I defined in the interface, but I can able to access it. And now if I want to write the logic, I can double click on it directly. So it will be enable the editor screen. But if you remember in abstract class, let me open abstract class also. So this is abstract. This is the method we might have used. I don't remember the class name. So if I want to implement it, just I place the cursor on the abstract method, and I have used a button called redefine button. So when we use this redefine method button, then only we can able to navigate into the implementation screen. But when it comes to interface, no need to click on any redefine method. Directly double click on it and see it has enabled the interest. So we can write the implementation part. But in abstract methods, whenever from the abstract class, if you are inheriting abstract methods, you need to redefine the method to write the logic. But in interface, no need to redefine any method. Directly you can write the logic by double clicking on the method, or you can click on the source code button. So this is one of the difference between abstract class and interface. Okay, and here suppose select table. Matmate doesn't have the data. Let me open the table, see other fields. Listener, then is there um, listener. This is the icon, and touch. Let's see. We need image. From. So these fields I want to fetch from VBAP table. Then I want to store into table, internal table. So here internal table I created as this export parameter. So if you see export parameter type as table type. So if it is a table type, this parameter is nothing but it is an internal table. Yes, Ooabap. But we have a condition. So based on the user entry of sales document number, it has to fetch these columns data from VBAP table. So here I have to write the condition where VBNN is equal to input. So here input parameter is nothing but IMPBNN. We have to enter. Check. So not compatible, meaning the sequence is missing. See. Okay, let me use a keyword first. So you need to check the sequence how they have defined in the table. But here let me use a keyword to So to avoid this error, I have used this statement called corresponding fields of, but don't use this keyword. Check the sequence in the table and write the select query. Okay. Save. Activate. And I'll go back. So now, so this is a class. In this class, I have an interface. And in this interface, there is a method called getData. And depends on the requirement, I can write the logic. So in this class, I have written the logic of these fields. Suppose there is a requirement to fetch other fields data. Suppose imagine that there are 178 or 485 fields are there. Suppose I want to fetch these fields data from VBAP table. So what I'll do, same interface, same method I will use in one more class. So I will create one more class like this. Again, I will go to interface tab. Here I will enter the interface name, and in the method, I will write the logic of fetching other fields. That is also possible. And suppose you have a scenario where you want to insert multiple interfaces. So multiple interfaces are nothing but this is like a multiple inheritance concept. Meaning earlier we have inherited only one superclass. From one superclass we have inherited into only subclasses. Like one parent class can have one child or multiple child classes. But till now we haven't implemented from both parent class, one child class we haven't implemented. So this is not possible with the inheritance concept or abstract class concept. So this is possible with only in interface. So you can inherit multiple parent classes, meaning in the interface here, imagine that this acts as a superclass. So here you have a space to write multiple interfaces, right? Here you can have multiple interface names. You can give one more interface name and you can access the method. You can write the logic. But if I go to global interface inheritance concept, let me check what is the name I have given. It's super C. So this is a super class. The name is ZSM2 super CFO. Okay. If I look at the subclass, sub CL. 1 second. So here, mm, this is a subclass. If I go to properties tab, see how many superclass names you can enter here? Only one superclass. Meaning we cannot inherit multiple, we cannot inherit from multiple superclasses. Only we can inherit from single superclass. See, I cannot enter multiple names. Only one superclass name I can enter. So this is nothing but single inheritance. So at a time, you cannot access from two superclasses. But when it comes to interface, you can access from multiple interfaces. So this is called multiple inheritance. You can create one more interface and you can create any method in that. You can access into this class. Just you can enter the method, sorry, in the interface tab, you can enter the interface name. So under the methods tab, you can see the method. So in this way, we can create multiple inheritance with the help of interface. So this is the drawback of inheritance and abstract class, because we cannot implement multiple inheritance using inheritance and abstract class. So that is the reason we have this concept interface because it cannot be hold the data, as well as we can create multiple inheritance. So that is the reason we are using this interface. Now, if I want to call this one into local program, this is global interface. Suppose if I want to call locally, see, suppose mm, and interface. So same steps we need to follow, but few things we need to change. Calling interface. Select the type executable, save it, and select the TR. And here, so first I have to define the method, sorry, object name because it is an instance method, right? So always remember, whenever you want to create an object, you should create object for the class. You cannot create object for the interface because interface doesn't have any implementation part. Only method definition is there. So always remember, whenever you are creating an object, you should create object for the class only. Don't create object for the interface because interface doesn't have any implementation. So without implementation, what is the purpose of calling the method? If there is a logic in the method, then only we can call it. If there is no logic, then we don't need to call that, right? So copy this class name and go to SE38. You can declare a object, suppose row obj type ref to class name. So this class has a method of interface implementation. So that is the reason we are using this class. Then we need to create object. So create object LO obj. So this object is created. Once object is created, we can call the method. But if I go to class, let me close this unnecessary things. This one. If I go to class, see how the method is defined. Interface name, tilt operator, method. So whenever I call the method, I have to call same way. Like earlier, I used to call LO obj. Directly I can call with method name. But right now, you should remember we are accessing that method from interface. So you have to call with the name of interface only. In the class, how it is defined, same way we need to call in our program. Like interface name, tilde operator, method name. So in the program also, I have to call, see, whenever I press control and space bar, which name is appearing first? Interface name. Parallel, I'll show you. First it is local interface. Let's see, local interface. If you see here, not required. Let me open local interface. Yeah, local class. This is someone's. Let's see. So if you see here, this is the object name and this is the method name. Suppose if I double click on it, see, directly we have called with the method name. Here, what is the method name? Get data. And whenever we are calling the method name with the help of object, directly we have called with method name only. But right now, our method has existed in the interface. So you need to call with interface name only. Directly should not call with method name. Always remember. So first you need to call with interface. So this is the interface name, tilde operator, and then you can call the method. So now I call this method, but this method is having import and export parameters. It is not written here. So again repeat the same steps, control and spacebar. So now we can see it is having import and export parameters. Suppose if you don't know this method, you can click on pattern, choose above object patterns, and here instance place, you can give the instance name. Instance name is nothing but object name. Here class name. Don't give the interface name. Here you can give the class name. Suppose class name is, this is a class name. And method name. You can choose F for help. Now see, when I click on F for help, how the method has written here. First, it has written interface name, tilde operator, method name. In the program also, if you see how I have written, first interface name, tilde operator, method name. So even you use shortcuts, it will be right the same. Or if you enter manually, we use the same way to call the method. Suppose if I click on that, same. So either way we can use it. No, I delete this one. So IAM is nothing but input parameter which I created for sales document number. So to pass this parameter value, I have to declare a parameter in the program. So P VBLN type VBLN VA. So this is same only. Here you can pass P VBLN. Only the difference, whenever we call the method directly, we should not call with method name only. We should call along with interface. So that is a difference. Remaining same. Like whenever we call global interface locally, we use the same steps. And exvbap is nothing but is a table type. So if it is a table type, we have to declare internal table. So data it type, and how this table type is defined in this method, same way you can declare it. Suppose if I go to the class, you see what is the type VBAP. So same, I have VBAP. I need work area also because these are the multiple entries, so I need to loop it. So if it is a work area, we have to define with the structure. So how we will get the structure name? If you double click on the table type, inside table type, we can see this line type is nothing but structure. If you see the beside single row is there, meaning it is a structure. So I declared internal table and work area. Right? This is ITB back. So whenever I'll pass input parameter, after executing, I will pass input parameter. So it will go to this class and it will go inside of this method. Based on the logic, it will fetch the data and afterwards it will store into this internal table. But to display in the output screen, I have to loop it. So loop it IT VBAP into work area VBAP, and loop must be closed by end loop. So here we can write the write statement with the help of work area VBAP first VBLN, and then I have written in the program. So Siemens, right? So second Siemens, and third, and lastly, what's that? Last one is Postman. So not, that's it. So these both will state everything. This and just save, check, activate, and execute it. For that past one, so it will display the data. If there is a data, it will exist. So here there is no data, so that is the reason it is empty here. Here also empty. 4 piece data I want to display, it is empty. So this is the way we use interface. before creating locally. So let me tell you one more option. Here, if you see method name, how length it is there. Suppose if I want to see the method name, I have to write interface name and method name. Imagine that if my interface name is very big, so what will happen? It will take a lot of characters here and method also. But whenever we want to call, I have to call in the program. Like if it is a small one, we can write easily. But if it is a lengthy one, in the program also, like it is not possible to read easily. Even the method also. If you see how lengthy is their method name only for this many characters. And if I go to the previous programs here, directly I called with method name get data, how small it is. And if I go to interface, see how lengthy it is. So to avoid this one, for better readability purpose, we can use a shortcut called aliases. So with the help of aliases, we can write shortcut of this interface and method name. Instead of writing this much lengthy name, we can replace the shortcut. If you remember in joins concept, instead of writing joins, whenever we join in multiple tables, instead of writing complete table name, we have used a shortcut. Let me search that one so that you will get an idea. SC38 was, see here, shortcut we have used A, B, B. A is nothing but V, B, A, K. Here as is nothing but it's like a shortcut. We used to say alias, suppose two names are there, shortcutly if you want to say alias, we used to say, right? Similarly, in the ABAP also, whenever we want to use shortcut in the joins program, we use a keyword as, and if it is classes and methods, we use a separate tab called aliases. So here, method name and interface name will be there. Instead of this much lengthy name, we can write any shortcut here. Suppose I will write get, a simple word, get. Instead of writing this much lengthy name, I'll replace it with a shortcut of get. And here visibility is nothing but if you want to access this interface and component outside of the class, we can use public because I want to access outside of the class. So I will choose public. If you don't want to access outside the class, then depends on the requirement. We can choose protected or private. So right now I want to call outside of the class. So I have used public. Now let's see, activate this one. So wherever this interface name and this method name is there, I will replace with this word get. So I'll go to program, and if you see here interface name, method name is there. Instead of this much lengthy one, I will replace with get. First, let me take duplicate and I'll comment one. So instead of writing this much lengthy name, we have a shortcut. If you remember, instead of writing interface name along with method name, I will replace with this alias name get. So I'll go to program. I'll simply use get and so I'll save, check. See, there is no syntax error. And I'll activate execute. So let me take through again. There is no difference in the output. So with the help of alias name, we can easily read the method name. Either you can call method name along with interface and method name, or else you can replace with the alias name. So before you use here, you need to declare in the class. So you have to go to class. There is a tab called aliases. In that, you can specify the shortcut. So instead of this much lengthy name, you can give any shortcut name. And the same name you can use in the program wherever you are calling this method and this interface. Instead of this complete name, you can replace with this shortcut. So that is the idea of aliases. Any doubts? Right? So now we created a global interface. So let's create a local interface. I'll go to EC30 transaction code into local interface. And here, local interface. Select the type, executable program, save it, select DR. Now, let's see one by one step how we did globally, then same steps we'll do locally. So let me go back. I'll close everything which is not required. This is call it not required. This is also not required. So first step, what I did, I went to AC24 transaction code and I gave interface name. So my interface name is this one. So I gave the interface name. So I went to AC24 transaction code. I gave the interface name. So same way, locally I have to write interface name. So to write interface name, we have a keyword called interface. Interface. So with the help of interface keyword, we can able to create interface. The same name I will use here, which name I have used, and interface must be closed by end interface. So in between this interface and end interface, we have to declare the methods. So how can we create the interface? With the help of interface keyword. This is my interface name, and this is the interface keyword. Like if you want to declare structures, we use a keyword called types. If you want to define internal table, work area, or variables, we use a keyword called data. Similarly, if you want to create interface, we used to use a keyword called interface, and it must be closed by end interface. And it is not mandatory to write here Z. Like globally, how I created, same way I'm creating locally. Press, let me replace this one. Interface, interface one. So interface one, I gave the name like interface one. And in EC24, what we did, I gave the interface name. Then I have chosen the pop-up like interface. Okay. After that, so I went to methods tab. In the methods tab, I defined method. So same way I have to do here. In the interface, what I have to do, I have to define the methods. So how can we define the methods? With the help of methods keyword. If I go to interface, see how I did how I define the method name. In this tab, what is the tab name? Methods. So I have to use the keyword methods. Instead of tabs here, we are using the keywords, methods. And after that, I defined the method name. So I clicked on the methods tab. Then I have written get data. Same thing I will write in the program, get data. Then here level instance method. So here it is an instance method only because I told you in the beginning of the class, like 3-4 days before, if it is class hyphen methods, it is static method. If there is no class keyword, then it is an instance method. And this description is optional. And after that, what I did, I clicked on parameters tab and I have defined these two parameters. Same steps I will repeat here. I have one import parameter and one export parameter. So for this method, I will create import parameter imvbln. Same scenario I'm explaining. Like globally how I created, same thing I'm replicating locally. Type vbln va and one exporting parameter. So for exporting parameter, we use a keyword called exporting ex feedback type. So which type I have taken here? VBAPT. Same type I'll use VBAPT is nothing but global table. So that's it. I went to AC24 transaction code. I gave interface name. Then I went to methods tab. I gave the method name, chosen the level as instance method. Then I defined the parameters. So same steps I did locally. Once I define the methods, if I want to do implementation, I have to implement in a class. So for that, I created one class. So the class is what this one. So this is the class I created to implement the sales order item details. So same way, I have to create a class locally. So to create the class locally, before that, let me write here. Um, Creating interface. Syntax interface. Interface name. Interface name. Okay, so this is the syntax for interface. And here we created interface. And now I will create the class. Creating class. So to create the class, what steps we have to do? We have a syntax class name, definition. So here class name, sales, CL, definition. Here we are not inheriting, so no need to write inheriting from this one. So don't write inheriting keyword. If you remember in SU24, I haven't used superclass. This create inheritance button I haven't used, right? So here we should not use inheriting from. Just you need to create the class name, definition, and the class. And after creating the class, like I gave this class name and I chosen the radio button called class. And after that, I went to interfaces tab. In the class, I went to interfaces tab and I gave the interface name. Same steps I have to do. So within the class, I have to go to interfaces tab and I gave the interface name. So same thing I have to do it in local. So within the class itself, I have to write interface name because there is an interface which has a method. So I have to insert in my class. How can I insert? With the help of interfaces keyword. If I go to global, see where I have defined my interface name under this tab. What is the name of the tab? Interface S. Yes is there. So plural form. Say interfaces. And what is my interface name here? Interface name is this one, which I created. Same thing. What is interface name here? Interface 1. So I have to write interface name. So interface name. That's it. In the definition part, what I did, I gave only interface. I went to interfaces tab. I gave interface name. After entering the interface name, automatically this method, under this methods tab, it has written this interface and method name, right? And if I want to write the logic, I double click on the method name. So it went to the implementation part. So these steps I did in this class globally. I went to interface tab. I entered the interface name. I pressed it. That's it. I did not do anything. Now here also, that's it. I went to class and interface name also I gave. So now this class consists of this interface. So in this interface, this method is there. So to implement that one, what I did locally, I just double click on the method name. But here we don't have an option to double click. We have to write class implementation part. So class name implementation, then end class. So within this class, we can write the implementation. Oh, okay. So in the class, we have to define the visibility, the public session. And here there is an error. Can you tell me why we got this error?
Method keyword.
Yes.
Keyword missing method.
Yes, method is missing. If you see, if I go to SE24, where this logic is existed, method, interface name, tilde operator, method, interface name, tilde operator, method name. But if you see, directly I have written. So that is the reason it is not recognizing this one. So here method definition is there. Like in this interface, method definition is there. But if you want to implement, we have to call with the help of interface name, tilde operator, method name. So same way, how method, interface name, tilde operator, method name is there. Same steps we have to write. Method, interface name. So what is the name of the interface here? This one. Oh, this one copied. Interface name, tilde operator, and get data method name. And method must be closed by end method. So now whenever we want to implement the logic of method from the interface, always remember we have to call with the help of interface name only. But earlier in the local class, whenever we created local class, we haven't do the steps. Directly we have called with the help of method only. Suppose if I go to this local class, see method get data. If you see this method is having this is a method name get data, and whenever I want to do implementation, I return directly method name end method. But when it comes to interface, whenever we are using interface, always remember we have to call along with the interface name, because this method definition is existed in this interface only. If you look at this class definition, even I haven't specified my method name. Just in the public session, interface name is there. I haven't written method name is get data. Look at this logic here. I haven't written anything related to the method. Just I gave the interface name. So that is the reason system cannot understand if you write directly get data. It is existed in this interface. So you need to specify the interface name. And once it is done, okay. So now we have created interface and we implemented the logic in the class. And if you want to call the method, again, same steps. So whenever we call the global interface locally, same steps we need to repeat. Like you have to define the object, create the object, same steps. So let me do that. Data. So start of selection event, because it should allow executable statement. Lobj type ref2, and here I have to give the class name. I should not give the interface name because it is empty. So my class name is save CL. So after defining the object, you have to create it. Otherwise, it will give a runtime error. Create object. Object name is LOBJ. And now here we can call with the help of this option, or else you can write manual. So here object name is LOBJ. Class name is sales. Okay, this is local, right? So we will write manual. LOBJ. And here, first we should call with the help of interface. So press Control and Spacebar, automatically it will show the interface name. Press Enter. Now tilde operator, again Control and Spacebar, select the method name. This method is having the parameters, but right now it was not written. So again repeat the same steps. Press Control Spacebar and press Enter. Now we can pass this import and export parameters. So import parameter is the type of VPLN. So I'll create parameters EVBELN type EVELN VA, and the export parameter is table type. So for table type, we can create internal table. ITVBAP type BBAPT. And to loop, I need work area also. So I'll declare the work area. So here I'll give the single parameter, that is PVBLN. Here, internal table. So once we give the input parameter, it will go to this interface, and this method, it will fetch the data from the database table, then it will store in the internal table. Then we have to display with the help of loop statement. Loop it, ITVBAP into work area VBAP. Loop must be closed by end. And here we will write what is a logical computer, BBLN, and Siemens. Next one is for, last one is poster. That's it. Save. So from here onward, same steps. There is no difference. Like whenever we called global interface locally, same steps I did. Here also same steps. Only need to know how to define the interface and how can we call the method implementation. Only these two are new. This method name and this interface. The remaining are same. Like whenever we created inheritance, also we followed the same steps. So once it is done, save, check, activate it, and you can execute. So you can pass the text element here. So same output, even if I used globally or local. And in global interface, we have seen a option of aliases to write the shortcut of this interface name and method name. So same thing we can use locally. So here we have a tab. In the tab directly we can give the name. But in AC38 we have to write the syntax. In AC24 where I declared this get or alias name, in the class, if you see this is the class, in the class there is a tab aliases. So same way I have to go to class definition part. In the class definition part, I have to give the alias name. So this is the class definition part. And here after giving the interface name, we can give the shortcut name. So to give the shortcut name, I have to write syntax like aliases and alias name. So in AC24, I gave get, same thing I'm giving here, get for. So for which interface, suppose imagine that in this program, I have only one interface, but in project, we can have multiple interfaces. As I mentioned, with the help of interface, we can achieve multiple inheritance. So suppose if we have multiple interfaces, how system will be recognized this get for only this interface name. Suppose imagine that here I have one more interface. Interface, interface, end interface. Suppose I have two interfaces. If I write alias get, then how system will recognize this get is for this interface name or this interface name. The system will be cannot be recognized. So we have to specify this get for which interface. So you have to write interface name. So interface name is interface one, and this get which component you want to give, meaning which method you want to assign this name, because in the interface you can have multiple methods. Here I have only one method. Like if I go to methods tab, here I have only one method, but we can have multiple methods, right? So for which interface and which method you want to write the shortcut. Like here method, sorry, interface, method name is there. So same way I have to write it here. Interface, method name. So method name is get data. So here I have written aliases. So in the AC24, we have the tab aliases. So same, first I did ISS. Then what I did, I gave the name here get. Same thing I have done in PC38. I gave get. Then this get for which interface method? This interface method. Same I have written here interface and method name. But I have used a keyword called for here. So this shortcut or alias name for this interface method. So once you return this one, let me remove this. Once you return, wherever this interface name and this component is existed, you can replace with get. If you see, here it is existed. Instead of this, I will comment this one. Here, I will replace with get. Whether it is acceptable. Let's check. Yes. And here, there is one more here. So instead of writing interface name and method name, let me take duplicate. I comment one, and instead of this much lengthy name, I can replace with get. So there is no error. So whenever you want to replace interface and method name with a shortcut, we use a keyword called aliases. And you can write the shortcut name. Wherever you see this interface and this component, you can replace with this shortcut. So if you see method name, first I have written completely with interface name and method name. Later on, I replace with only this alias name. Same way whenever calling the method also. Implementation of method and calling the method, I replace the names. So in this way, we can use interface. So this we are using mainly to achieve multiple inheritance. So multiple inheritance in the sense you can have multiple interfaces and you can call into a class. So one class can access multiple interfaces. But in inheritance concept and abstract class, we cannot access multiple inheritances within a single class. So that is a drawback of inheritance and abstract class. So we are using this interface to achieve that. And here we no need to redefine any method. Directly you can do the implementation. Whatever the logic you want to write, you can implement it. And in suppose in this class I have written the logic of this one. In another class I can create, I will write a different logic. So this is nothing but this is a functionality of polymorphism. So one definition, this is only one definition. We can have multiple implementation with a different functionality. You can write the logic. Any doubts?